Hello humans, Master DinnerFlax here bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today I'm going to be going over an idea I had for future card design. So, as you know, recently I've been playing a lot of late 2005 format, and Monarchs are super popular in that format, and one thing I've noticed about Monarchs is they really fell off. Like just running two to three Caius in a deck, or like a Mobius or a Thestalos, that's just not a thing anymore. And I got to thinking, well, why is that? Besides power creep, what in power creep has caused Monarchs to fall out of favor? Like, even though they're slow, slowness has never actually been it has been a factor, but slowness isn't always a factor, and usually stuff will fall in and out of formats. But then I noticed that the Monarchs have, all of them except Thestalos, have one major flaw in them, where they do not work turn one. None of them do, outside of Thestalos. And Thestalos is one of the weakest Monarchs because it's hitting a random resource instead of a controlled resource. And I was thinking about that. Well, if none of them really work turn one, then it makes total sense. Because Yugioh, there are a lot more going on in turns at the cost of a lot less turns happening. So it means Monarchs have kind of this pressure that they can no longer live up to, where they have to be super powerful going second, where if you're like reading most of the old Monarchs outside of Ryza and Caius, like they just don't do that anymore. And like they're only one for ones, and you have to tribute summon for it. And that's just not enough to deal with some of the insane boards. And then finally, if you are looking for one removal, every single Monarch has been power crept. Every single original Monarch has been entirely power crept by this one card. So it's like, well, it's really pointless. Like, what's the point of Monarchs? So what I came up with is an idea for a new type of Monarch. All the Monarchs have an issue where they're only working turn 2 outside of Thestalos, but I explained why Thestalos is pointless. So what I came up with are Monarchs that work turn 1, and I did something cute with it. So I call this second generation Monarchs because they are grown-up version of the Vassals. And what they do is they have a like complementary effect to their, I guess, parents. I don't know. They're pretty much the exact, almost exact, not quite, but they're like the opposite effect of the Monarchs they're based on. But you can use them turn 1, so there's actual utility of them going first. Here's the first one, Mithra the Thunder Monarch. So if you don't know, Zaborg the Thunder Monarch, when it's tribute summoned, you target one monster on the field, destroy it. Just very basic effect. But Mithra has the inverted effect, where when it's tribute summoned, you target one monster in either player's graveyard and special summon it. So Monster Reborn works going first or second. However, it gets more valuable over time because there's more resources in the graveyard. So this is kind of what I'm leading to. Monarchs that actually do something turn 1 and have actually really powerful effects, because the thing is, tribute summoning, I feel, is a mechanic that should always be implemented somewhere in the game. And I feel like True Dracos is not a tribute summon deck. I don't know what the hell that deck is, but it's not a resource management deck. It just draws itself to death. I really would like to see proactive tribute summoning back in the game. Like, I would love to see, like, back in the day, people would run 2 to 3 Caius in almost every deck. And every deck had at least one. And it was kind of cool because it was like, okay, my extra deck isn't working because they have Imperial Order. Not Imperial Order. Royal Oppression, or they have like a bunch of stun on field. Okay, let me tribute summon, spend very little resources, and they either 1 for 1 because they dealt with the Monarch, or I 1 for 1 because I dealt with their card. And that's kind of what I like. I really like just tribute summoning access in every deck. So I came up with these. And then for Mobius, this is one of the only Monarchs that is inherently a +1 when it's used. And its counterpart is the Vassal grown up. And when it's tribute summoned, it's not an inherent +1, but you target one spell or trap in either player's graveyard, and you set it to your field. Now, this could be really cool in, like, mirror matches of any kind. I don't know, if you're playing, for some reason, a Monarch Sky Striker deck, you can just tribute summon Ishtar and go and get one of their engages or whatever. Like, something like that. I don't know. It would just be really cool to see something like this. And then for Thestalos, when it's tribute summoned, you discard a random card from your opponent's hand, then do some burn damage if it was a monster. On the other side is, I'm not even going to pronounce that, but when it's tribute summoned, you draw one card and reveal it, and then if it's a monster, you do burn. So instead of taking away a card from your opponent, you're getting a card to yourself. And then the worst Monarch of all time, Grandmarg, he's literally just the most... He's like a bad version of Mobius and a bad version of Zaborg at the same time. I think he's seen almost no competitive play in any of his history. But for his counterpart, Landrobe, if he's tribute summoned, you excavate the top 3 cards of your deck. Then, among them, you can set one of the spells and traps to your field, or you can special summon one of the monsters among them and face down defense, but then you shuffle the remaining back into the deck. So, instead of removing set cards, you can set a card, any card, from your deck. And then Ryza, everyone knows this. This is one of the best ones. When it's tribute summoned, you place a card on top of the deck. And then Grandmarg, instead of that, it shuffles back cards into your deck and then gets you a draw to replace it itself. So that's one of the theories I had. And then Caius, probably the best standalone Monarch. I couldn't think of anything that kind of does Caius justice as a counterpart. So I just came up with this one where it says, target one banished monster, either players, special summon it. Then if it was a dark monster, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So that's it for what I came up with. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And I just wanted to show this off because I really hope one day we get Monarchs that are actually proactive, because there is one other Monarch that came out like a few years ago. It's called the Fiendish Monarch, but it's really, really specific on how you use it. You gotta tribute summon it, then banish a spell from your graveyard, then you add a spell with the same name from your deck to your hand. I think that's really, really niche and awkward. Yes, it's a proactive Monarch, but it's not nearly proactive enough, and it's nowhere near powerful enough. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master DinnerFlax will take your soul.